What if some of the things you're doing to try to save the relationship are actually making the distance worse? Not because you're a bad mom, not because you don't love your son or your daughter, but because pain has a way of making all of us reach for these strategies that feel helpful in the moment, but what they do is create more distance over time. Have you ever found yourself thinking, I'm trying so hard to make this relationship better. Why does it feel like everything I'm doing is making it worse? If that's you, you're not alone. And one of the hardest parts of navigating a strained relationship with an adult child is realizing that sometimes the very things we do to try to fix the relationship can actually create more distance. Most of the time, these behaviors come from our own pain. They come from fear. They come from guilt, confusion, heartbreak, all of that. But today I want to talk about 3 things that I see moms do consistently that can unintentionally push your child further away. I want you to stop explaining. I want us to stop defending. And I want us to stop chasing. So before we dive in, let me say this. This, again, is not a video about blaming moms. In fact, I've done every single one of these things myself, and probably you have too, because guess what? You're human. So I am not shaming anyone, but you also know that I also do not choose sides because, as I always say, I truly am trying to see this through the eyes of your child as well, because usually we both have some valid points. So let's dive right in. First of all, number 1, let's stop explaining. This one is incredibly common because most moms simply want to be understood, right? Who doesn't? But your son or daughter may say something that hurts, and maybe they tell you that you weren't there for them, or that maybe they felt controlled or dismissed or unsupported or misunderstood. And immediately your mind starts filling in all the missing pieces. But you don't know what I was going through, or that's not what I meant. If you just knew the whole story, you would understand. Or if you grew up in the same family that I did, you would understand, right? So you're trying to explain these things away. You're explaining your intentions. You're explaining your circumstances. You explain your side of the story. And the problem is that many of the adult children are not looking for more information right now. They're looking to feel heard. And when someone is talking about how something impacted them and the response immediately becomes an explanation, almost like a justification, they often walk away feeling like their feelings were completely dismissed. Now, that doesn't mean they're always right. It doesn't mean that their memory is perfect and yours is always wrong. It doesn't mean that you have to agree with every conclusion that they've reached. But understanding is often way more powerful than being understood. Understanding is often more powerful than being understood. Sometimes that simple, you know what, I can see why that was painful for you. Understanding where someone is coming from can just take this relationship sometimes very quickly to the next level. Sometimes it's hard because every fiber of our being wants to tell our side. But connection is going to grow when we spend less energy explaining and more energy listening. It makes you wonder which one takes more energy. Because when explaining doesn't get us the response we're hoping for, then we typically move into the second pattern, which is stop defending. So we go from over-explaining to defending. And so let's talk about that. And again, I'm not saying that you should agree with things that are not true. I'm just saying that you should take responsibility for the things you did do, not the things you didn't do. And I'm certainly not saying you should become a doormat. What I am saying is that defensiveness has a way of shutting down a connection. When we feel blamed or criticized or misunderstood or accused even, our natural instinct is to protect ourselves. You're human. We want to correct the wrong, right? Correct the record. We want people to know our intentions. In and of itself, it's not bad, but we're always wanting that other person to understand our heart. But when every conversation becomes about proving ourselves, the relationship will stop moving forward. And one of the things I've learned over the years is that many adult children are not looking for a courtroom, right? They're not looking for the judge and jury. They just want a conversation with you. And when they feel like every concern that they have is met with resistance or correction or maybe self-protection, they're just going to stop talking. So again, this isn't about deciding who's right and who's wrong. It's about asking a different question when you have the opportunity in front of you. So instead of asking yourself, how do I convince them that I'm not the bad guy? What if you thought rather, what are they trying to tell me? Because even if you disagreed with parts of it, there may still be a valuable truth somewhere underneath. Maybe it's not all the facts, that all the facts are true, but maybe the feelings are, the impact, and how it's impacting their life. So when we stop defending long enough to become curious, we talk about that a lot. Let's be curious. We often learn things we couldn't see before. And the growth in your relationship, in any relationship really, is almost always going to start with that curiosity. So if you're listening to this and you're finding yourself in some of these patterns, I want you to hear me. This is not about beating yourself up. This is not about piling on more guilt for yourself. And it's certainly not about making you the villain in your own story. I want us to think about the things that maybe we were never taught, how to navigate conflict with adult kids. Heck, most of us were never taught how to navigate conflict with anyone. How do we respond when our child pulls away? That's not in the Parenting 101 book, at least not the one I had. So if you've been explaining and defending and you're reacting out of fear, you're not alone, but this is where awareness needs to come in, and this is where change can begin. So if you're interested in a heart-to-heart consultation, you can apply for that using the link below. It's a 30-minute conversation where you and I would navigate through some of the high-level things that are going on in your family right now, and I would be able to give you the best option for coaching that I think would be the best fit for you. It is not a coaching call. So it's reserved for moms who are ready to take that next step into coaching. Number 3 is stop chasing. The third thing I want to talk about is this. This one comes from a place of love more often than not, but it also comes from fear. And when communication starts breaking down with our kids and they're not answering texts or calls, when they seem more distant, then every instinct inside of you wants to close that gap because you want to fix it. You want to reconnect. Of course you do. So you want this reassurance that everything is going to be okay. Of course you do. Who doesn't? But let's be honest. When your child is pulling away, it does feel terrifying. And you start wondering if this is the text that they're never going to answer, or this is the call that they're never going to pick up, or are they ever going to pick up again? Are they going to come for the holiday? What are they going to do next? But if this is the beginning of something permanent, what do I do next? And that's fear. That's the enemy. Straight away, the enemy full of fear in your mind. And fear has a way of convincing us that we need to do something immediately. So you continue to reach out, and you continue to reach out again and again and again. And we start chasing. Our kids don't want to be chased. They want to know they're loved. But the problem is that chasing usually creates pressure. And our kids do not want pressure because then there's some resistance, right? It creates that resistance. So the harder that one pursues, the more the other person will probably pull away. And I know that's painful because many moms think if I stop reaching out, doesn't it mean I'm giving up? No, it means you're moving forward. You're moving forward in your own life. You're not giving up on them. You're giving them the space that maybe they've asked for, but you're moving forward in your own life. And stopping the chase is not the same. Your role is to continue to pray for them, love them where they're at, give them some space if that's what they need. It's not the same as losing hope either. It's trusting God, who's much bigger, and He is the one that is going to be able to bring your family back together. But it means you're not operating from panic anymore. You are making your emotional well-being not reliant on whether they text you back today. You're learning how to stand on your own 2 feet. You're learning how to find peace. And honestly, that emotional steadiness creates more opportunity for healthy connection than any frantic pursuit ever could. And trust me, I've done the frantic pursuit. I also have the healthy connection. So I've been on both sides of it. But healthy relationships, as I always say, it takes 2 people and it's a choice. So I hope this helps you today. If you're a mom navigating this and if you take nothing else away from today, I want you to remember these 3 things. Again, stop explaining, stop defending, and stop chasing. If you want to continue to receive notification when we put out more videos, you can subscribe and hit the bell so you get notifications. I hope this blessed you. I will see you in the next episode. God bless.